Central, welcome back to our Strengths-Based Culture series. If we haven't met, my name is Cameron Bishop. I'm so excited to be with you guys again. And tonight, I'm really excited about this topic because as we look at what it means to be made in the image of God in Genesis 1, 2, and 3, we see and we've begun to see that it is within the diversity of thoughts and feelings and behaviors and within the different strengths that we really start to learn something about the image of God. It's within diversity that we see God, not despite of diversity, right? Everybody is different, and that tells us so much about the character and personhood of the triune God. And so I love the passage for 1 Corinthians 12 because Paul really starts to dive into this idea of us finding God and the church's purpose within diversity of gifts. So Paul says, Christ is just like the human body. A body is a unit and has many parts, and all of the parts of the body are one body, even though there are many. We're all baptized by one Spirit into one body, whether Jew or Greek or slave or free, and we are all given one Spirit to drink. Certainly, the body isn't one part, but many. If the foot says, I'm not part of the body because I'm not a hand, does that mean it's not part of the body? If the ear says, I'm not part of the body because I'm not an eye, does that mean it's not part of the body? If the whole body were an eye, what would happen to the hearing? And if the whole body were an ear, what would happen to the sense of smell? But as it is, God has placed each one of the parts in the body just like he wanted. If all were one, the same body part, what would happen to the body? As it is, there are many body parts, but one body. So the eye can't say to the hand, I don't need you, or in turn, the head can't say to the feet, I don't need you. Instead, the parts of the body that people think are the weakest are the most necessary. The parts of the body that we think are less honorable are the ones we honor the most. The private parts of the body that aren't presentable are the ones that are given the most dignity. And the parts of the body that are presentable don't even need this. But God has put the body together, giving greater honor to the part with less honor, so that there won't be division in the body, and so the parts might have mutual concern for each other. If one part suffers, all the parts suffer with it. If one part gets the glory, all parts celebrate with it. You are the body of Christ and parts of each other. In the church, God has appointed first apostles, second prophets, third teachers, then miracles, then gifts of healing, the ability to help others, leadership skills, different kinds of tongues. All aren't apostles, are they? All aren't prophets, are they? All aren't teachers, are they? All don't perform miracles, do they? All don't have gifts of healing, do they? All don't speak in different tongues, do they? All don't interpret, do they? Use your ambition to try to get the greater gifts. And I'm going to show you an even better way. I'll tell you guys a story. We were appointing someone to a certain position here at Central. They were going to help us with some new initiatives. And this person was not a highly relational person. They weren't. They were more of a strategic thinker. And so as I was talking to someone, they were like, yeah, they're going to use that thinking, but I'm going to help them learn how to be relational. And I was listening to him say that, and I was like, this person's quite a bit older. They've lived their whole life. And the themes of strength that God has decided to put within this person are strategic thinking. This person didn't make this person highly relational. They made them to be a strategic thinker. And I was listening to this person sit across from me and say, I'm gonna have them be relational. And I was like, man, that doesn't seem to honor the image of God in them. That seems to want to change something about them. But instead, you can come alongside of them as the relational person, and you can be the relational component within that ministry. And now you both get to use your gifts because we needed the full body. So when we think of strengths, strength themes tend to fall into 4 domains. The first domain is executive. Someone who has executive strengths, they know how to make things happen. They know how to make things happen. So I would say that I would say that on Central's team, like if we think of people on Central that have executive themes, I would say someone like like Marla Lobley would have these executive themes where they know how to take ideas and make those things happen. Okay. The next domain we see would be influence. So it's someone who takes charge, they speak up, and they make sure the team is heard. So when you look at my top 5 themes of strength, they tend to fall into this influence theme. They're influence and executive, and they tend to kind of lean towards this influence theme. Then there's relational. And someone who has themes within relational, they build strong relationships that can hold a team together and make the team greater than the sum of its parts. So on our team, if I'm thinking of like who falls into this relational category, I would say like Blake Earnhardt or Felicia Whitworth, right? They're highly relational. They think through the lens of relationships and they bring people together. If you notice, like with Felicia, children just want to be around Felicia, right? They want to be a part of what she's doing. And you can take the corniest thing where they're like, no, I'm not going to do that with my parents. And they'll get with Felicia and they're going to do that. And they're going to love it and they're going to have so much fun. With Blake, it's always amazed me how much people just want to be around Blake. Like people just love being around Blake. And if you put Blake in a circle, he tends to make that circle stronger. All right. The last domain that we see is the thinking domain. And so people whose strengths fall within the thinking domain absorb and analyze information to make better decisions. So if I'm thinking like, okay, who on the team falls within this strategic thinking domain, I think, so like Ben Williams. If you have him in a room, he's able to take the information collectively and figure out what are we going to do with this information. That tends to be like his kind of strength is he likes to take in information, whether it be from books, whether it be from podcasts, whether it be from sermons, whether it be from conversations. And what he does is he absorbs this information and then gets to work on what he's learned from that information. And so when you look at your top 5 themes, when you look at your strengths, they're going to fall into one of those 4 domains, whether it be influential, whether it be executive, whether it be relational, or whether it be thinking. They're going to fall into one of those domains. And it's tempting to look at your strengths and say, I am a thinking person. I am an intellectual. I am strategic. I'm not a part of the body because I'm not relational. It's easy to look at another person and be like, man, that person, all they care about is hanging out with people. All they care about is community. They're not a strategic person. They're not thinking. They're not a part of the body. But what makes us a part of the body is Christ's resurrection. And what makes us a productive part of the body is leaning into who we are to accomplish the mission. And what is the mission? Shalom, creating wholeness on this earth. So this week, what I want you to do is I want you to write out your strengths, right? They can be strengths that you know of. They can be strengths that other people tell you have. They can be the strengths from your results from either High Five or Strengths Finder. But I want you to write out your strengths on a piece of paper. And then I want you to set a 5 to 10 minute timer. And I want you just to ask yourself, which domain do my strengths tend to fall into? Do my strengths enable me to influence? Do my strengths enable me to build relationships? Do my strengths enable me to execute? Do my strengths enable me to think and strategize? And once you figure out that domain, I want you to ask, where at Central do I see the need for this domain? What is the ministry where I see the need for this domain? Where I see, wow, they are highly relational. I think they could use my strategic thinking. Wow, they are super good at getting things done. I think they could use influence over other people. Wow, they are influencing others. I think they could use relationship. Anyways, Central, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your Wednesday evening, and we will see you next week.
Good evening, Central family. My name is Blake Earnhardt, and I've had the great fortune of serving as a youth minister here for the last 13 years. I just want to kind of chime in and piggyback a little bit of what Cameron was saying. Thank you, Cameron, just for this whole series, for this introducing our congregation to something so powerful. When Cameron introduced this to the staff and elders, I was amazed at how much of an instant impact it had, not only on the way that we interacted with each other, but it just practically changed the way that we function. When you can better understand another person's strengths, you can better relate with where they're coming from. And that was so clearly evident to me when this concept was introduced to us as a staff. We all of us took the assessments and really analyzed where we're at, and it was really such a neat process. This does multiple things for all of us on so many different levels, and a couple of those things. Number one, it focuses the effort. Productivity is increased, and ideas start to flow from idea stages into concrete plans. There's been just some really, really neat things that have come from it, and one of those things was a leadership retreat that we had back in February. The staff and the elders got together with the search committee, and we were very productive in strategizing where Central is going now that we've hired a new preacher. And the work that went into that weekend, the planning and the pairing of people with different strengths, helped so much to the productivity of what went on that weekend. And the fact that even I'm sitting here right now talking to you about strengths is a direct result of what came out of that retreat, because we've implemented this into our leadership. And so that was an amazing thing for us to do, and I'm excited as we continue to implement all of these concepts into how we function as a church and the work that we do for the kingdom here in Ada. As you can hear, my son is screaming in the background, so I'm going to try to wrap this up. Another thing that this does is it unites people beyond surface level interactions. You really get to know a person when you understand what their strengths are. In trying times like these, it is so important that we as the church are united, that we treat each other with humility and respect, and that we model what it means to be a follower of Christ for the world to see. And when we understand each other's strengths, it's so much easier to do that. When we know where a person is coming from and what they excel in, then it's so much easier to be united. And lastly, the thing I'll say is this helps strengthen families. And I can speak to this from personal experience because Carl and I have a better understanding of who each of us are, and we become better spouses, we become better parents, and I know that if you give some time and effort, it's going to do the same for you. I encourage you to take some time this week to continue discovering your strengths and how you can use them to glorify God, not only at Central, but in all the areas of your life. Thank you so much for tuning in with us tonight, and we look forward to continuing this discussion and continuing the implementation of this. And I'm really excited about what God's going to do in the future for our church through His people. See you guys.
And boom goes the dynamite.